Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're exploring two new features that just rolled out with our latest product launch in ACP specifically. Now we're going to take a look at Performance View for your ACP chart lists. Allows you to pull up any list down there at the bottom of the screen and see price performance history over different time periods for all of those symbols. Plus, with a very handy little relative strength feature, this allows you to set a benchmark of your choosing and see those same price performance numbers relative to anything that you want. Very, very cool. We're going to see that one in action. We're also going to take a look at the new price alerts feature of the chart settings menu. Now, this allows you to turn on price alerts for any of your charts. When you pull up a symbol, you're going to see those alerts that you've set directly on the chart without having to add any lines or do anything like that. Very, very cool. Very, very handy. We're going to see that one in action as well. So lots to cover on the show today. Of course, you know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into the tools, show you around the features, and ultimately help you get more value out of stock charts. That is our mission here on this show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, up on the live channel, but also up on our YouTube channel after that, and of course the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. Just like all of our Stock Charts TV shows, you've got lots of ways to watch. I'm your host for the show. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. If you're new to the show, welcome, welcome. So great to have you joining us for what's going to be a very, very fun episode as we dig into a couple of new features. Now, as you might have heard, we are changing this year the way that we're doing product launches, feature rollouts, all of that stuff. Enhancements around the site are being kind of packaged up into these different product releases. We did one of those earlier this spring with what we called our Alki product release. That was our little code name for it. And now we're going alphabetically through that alphabet. So next up is B, which means we needed to find a code name that started with B. So we picked Bainbridge. Both of those are actually areas around the Seattle area where Stock Charts is located. But our Bainbridge product launch just rolled out a couple of weeks ago. So if you're new to the show, you might not have caught up. But if you have been joining us for a while now, you've seen us kind of review different features from that latest product launch on the last couple of shows. Now remember, you can always go back and check out some of those other episodes, but today we are going to continue that trend. We're going to take a look at some of the new features that just launched with that Bainbridge product launch here in ACP specifically. We're actually going to package them up in two and do two different features on today's show. So we're going to have a lot of fun looking at two of the very cool features that just rolled out. Now, before we dive into that, I want to remind everyone, you can go to stockcharts.com/new to view our What's New page. That's going to have a ton of info going all the way back in the last couple of years, going all the way back though. New info about what has launched on Stock Charts recently. Specifically, for the last two product launches that we did, we put together some very helpful release notes pages, if you will. So you can check that out, stockcharts.com/new. We've got big cards right up there. We demoed that on the last couple of episodes, so some of you have already seen that. But remember that you can go to stockcharts.com/new to take a look at that What's New page, read up on all that's launched with these different product launches. The last one that we did this spring, and then the most recent one that we did for the summer. Those release notes pages are very, very helpful. Give you a sense of kind of what is included. Read up on some of the things that we have done. They can be a good refresher if you've already seen some of that stuff. But like we're going to do on today's show, we're going to dive into some of these different features, and the What's New pages there can help you kind of get a sense of what has changed, what is new, and what you can use. So definitely check those out again, stockcharts.com/new. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump over to the site, dive into these new features in ACP. Here we go. All right, everyone, here we are in ACP, of course, our interactive advanced charting platform. If you're not familiar with ACP, this is something that we have highlighted a ton on the show in the last couple of years since we rolled this out. But it continues to improve, continues to get faster, sharper, better, more features, all of that good stuff. There is a ton to explore in ACP. One of the first things that you should do if you are new to ACP, come up to the corner, hit that little question mark icon, and look for that Take a Tour link. When you click that, it's going to give you a little sort of whirlwind tour of the different corners of ACP. But of course, we've also got our documentation there and our support center or our support team, actually, if you've got any specific questions. So you can always go back and review previous editions of this show. We've covered a lot of ACP things, but that Take a Tour link is definitely going to get you going. And some of that documentation as well. We've done videos kind of exploring the different features of ACP. The differences really between SharpCharts and ACP. ACP is intended to be much more kind of interactive. It allows you to kind of move through time almost as if you can reach out and grab your charts. You can actually reposition things simply by clicking and dragging around the charts. Very, very cool. You can also create advanced layouts here with up to 12 charts on the screen. And really kind of everything that you need is built into one place. So for instance, here is our market summary panel for today. You've got chart lists. You can run scans right out of here. There is a ton that we already have in ACP. So it continues to expand, continues to get bigger and bigger and better and better and faster and sharper and all of that good stuff. And today we're going to take a look at two of the latest ways that we've kind of enhanced ACP. So it's going to be a bit of another whirlwind tour. We're going to fly through a couple of these features today. They are relatively straightforward, but of course, if you got any questions, our support team can always help you answer those. So first up, like I mentioned, we're going to do two features on today's show. First up is going to be that performance view. Now, this is located down in what we call the chart list drawer. At the bottom of the screen, you see that black bar going across the screen. You got a couple of little icons. When you first come to ACP, this is going to be closed, but you can hit that big arrow to open up what we call the drawer. Now, the drawer gives you kind of more space to work with your chart list. You can also access your chart lists from over on the right side of the screen. If you do have any chart lists over there, you can open those up in the sidebar for kind of a slim view. But if you really want to get kind of the most out of your chart lists, you're probably going to want to use the drawer. That gives you the most space to work. So of course, you've got the summary view. You can leave chart comments. You can leave list notes, edit your chart lists down here in the drawer. Anything that you want to do, you can do it down at the bottom of the screen. That now includes a brand new tab called Performance. Now, this performance view is based on something that we actually released this past spring in the SharpCharts portion of the site. Over there in SharpCharts, for your SharpCharts lists, that is our other charting platform, we released a new feature, a new chart list view called Performance View. The idea here is relatively simple, but it is incredibly powerful. What this allows you to do is take an entire list of stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, cryptocurrencies, anything that you want, put those into a chart list, and then navigate over to Performance View. We're going to show you price performance history over a whole bunch of different time frames for everything in that list. In this case, you can see that we have 1 day performance, 5-day performance, 1 month performance, 3-month performance, 6-month performance, year to date, and 1 year. Now we're going to continue to add timeframes to this as well over time, and we're evaluating the option of a custom time frame thing. So a little bit of a sneak peek there, but that's coming down the road. For now, though, this tool is still incredibly powerful. You've got all of these time frames right there on the screen for you, and you can see as I scroll down, this in this case is a list of all the S&P 500 stocks. We've got 500 stocks in here, and we've got price performance history over all of those different time frames for each one of those symbols. Now, the very cool thing is that this allows you to see a list of symbols, but also sort by any of these time periods. So, for instance, depending on the time frame that you're kind of trading or investing over, you can sort by different time periods. In this case, we might want to sort by, let's say, 3 months. We can click this twice to sort by 3-month performance from the top down. In this case, we can see that in the S&P 500, end phase is actually the top performer over the last 3 months with a 64% gain, followed by Synopsys with a 32% gain. So we can now scroll down this table and we can see that this is all sorted, all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 sorted by their 3-month performance. Very, very cool, and it allows you to quickly jump between these time periods as well. If we wanted to quickly sort by 6-month performance, we can give that 2 clicks and see that end phase still the leader, but in this case, Constellation Energy actually number 2 there with a 49% gain over the last 6 months. So this tool allows you to see all of those time periods in one place for any of your lists. And again, right now we're using it for the S&P 500 stocks, but you could do this with all of the symbols in your portfolio list. You could do this with a watch list. You could do this with some of the major indexes. If you've got maybe the S&P 500 indexes and the Dow and the Russell indexes all loaded up into one chart list, you could do this same thing, view different price performance history over all those different time periods for everything in that list. Really anything you can think of, cryptocurrencies, mutual funds, you name it, you can do it here with Performance View. So very, very handy and really easy to access down here in the drawer. So what's nice is that here in ACP, you've got kind of just this tabbed layout. You can quickly flip between that summary view, which brings in other things like volume and market cap and scooter rankings, sector and industry classifications, all of that good stuff. You can quickly jump over to that Performance View tab, and it's just kind of right there for you. So very accessible, very cool to have that down in the drawer. Now, before we jump into one other feature, I do want to mention this drawer actually has a couple of other little features attached to it. First and foremost, you can see that I can open and close it with that little arrow, but I can also reposition the height of this actually just by clicking and dragging on that drawer. You can see that that's kind of moving. So depending on how much screen real estate you have to work with, depending on how big you want your chart to be up above, you can actually position this drawer to be the exact height that you want it. If you want it to take over the entire screen, you can use that maximize icon to actually blow that up, and now we've got the drawer taking over the whole center of ACP. We get a ton of room to work with. Very, very nice to have that feature as well. You can just click that maximize button again to actually kind of minimize it back down to the height that it was. So a couple of nice little features there. Now, there's one other feature of that performance tab that I want to highlight, which is very, very cool. This is actually my favorite part of it. There is a unique relative strength aspect to this tool. So you can see up at the top, you actually have a compare to box. Now, when you load this by default, let's say we sort it by 5-day performance here. We'll sort from top to bottom. When you load this by default, it's going to just show you the price performance history over those different time periods for everything in the list. That makes sense, right? But let's say we wanted to actually compare that to a benchmark. We wanted to look at what we call relative strength. Now, it's one thing if something has gone up 10%, but if the market's gone up 25% and that thing has only gone up 10%, that's actually a stock that's underperforming the market, right? So if we're playing the long side, we might want to focus on things that are outperforming the market, outperforming whatever benchmark matters to us. So we can use this little relative strength compared to box to actually see relative strength over all of these different time periods for any benchmark that we want. Very, very cool. We'll demonstrate that here in just a second. Now, the list that we're looking at is S&P 500 stocks, remember? So we might want to use the S&P 500 as our benchmark. In this case, let's use SPY, which is actually the S&P 500 ETF, one of the primary S&P 500 ETFs. All we have to do here is type in SPY, hit go, and there we go. We can see that this all reloads now. And in this case, what we're actually looking at, as you can see here, we've got those little ratio symbols. That's how you can compare two different symbols on stock charts. Type in one, separate the two with a colon, type in your benchmark as the second one. In this case, that basically does that for you. So now we've reformatted this entire table and we're comparing all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 to the S&P 500 itself. We're viewing those same price performance numbers, but relative to a benchmark, relative to the S&P 500. In this case, we can actually ask ourselves what has outperformed the S&P 500 over these different time periods, and what has underperformed the S&P 500 over these different time periods. So with this performance view, with this little compare to option, you can actually use this performance tab to view relative strength for everything in a group. Very, very cool, very, very powerful. And again, you can do this with anything you can think of. I personally have been using this a lot in SharpCharts and now in ACP as well. I've been using this a lot with my portfolio list, for instance. I've got the benchmark that I care about. In my case, I like to use VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Index, represents the total US stock market. I like to use that as my benchmark. I load up all of the positions that I have into one chart list. and then I reformat that list against VTI, against the total market. That allows me to see how the things that I own are performing relative to the total market. And I can see that over different time periods. So when something starts to underperform over multiple time periods, I can take note of that and say, hey, you know what? This chart is weakening. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. And on top of that, it's deteriorating against my benchmark over a whole bunch of these different time periods. That spooks me. I'm getting out of this thing. Or I can say, hey, this thing is really performing nicely, not just on the chart itself, but over multiple time frames, it's outperforming the benchmark that I care about. Very, very cool. That's a position that I might want to stay in. So there's a ton of use cases for how you can use this performance tab. That's just one of them. Use it to load up your portfolio and see everything relative to the benchmark that you care about. That is kind of the way that I'm personally using it. But I'm sure that you guys, as creative chartists, creative technicians, will find some other great use cases as well. So the point here is the new performance tab now available in ACP, down in the drawer. Very, very easy to use. Very, very easy to access right there next to your summary view as well. And by the way, you can always change this. So if you wanted to reformat this list as against VTI, for instance, you can do that really quickly. If you had a whole list of maybe Russell 1000 stocks, you could format this against IWB, the Russell 1000. You can really kind of pick any benchmark that you care about. You could even do a benchmark like Apple, if that's the benchmark that you care about, or the total world, or a specific cryptocurrency. Anything that you can think of, you can use that as your benchmark. When you're done, by the way, you can just blank that out, hit enter, or hit that little reset button to get that back to just the standard performance values. So that is our quick little tour of the performance view, now available for ACP, again, down there in the drawer. Very, very cool stuff. So next up, we're going to take a look at our new price alerts tool. Another one that is very easy to access, very easy to set up, but incredibly powerful. So for all of you StockCharts users out there that have been using our price alerts tool, if you've set up price alerts for any symbols in your StockCharts account, this is going to be for you. What we've created is the ability to actually see your price alerts directly on the chart for any symbol that you've set a price alert for, without having to click anything really. You set this up, and those price alerts, every time you load in one of those symbols, those price alerts are automatically going to be there for you. Very, very cool. I personally use price alerts a ton. I use them as a kind of a stalking trick to set a price alert at a specific point that I want to watch. And if a stock crosses above that, for instance, I can take action. I also use price alerts to mark my stops. So there are a ton of different uses of those different price alerts. But what we've created with this tool is very handy, very cool. We're going to demo it now in just a second. The way that you access this here in ACP, two different ways. You can come over to your chart settings menu, either click the little gear at the very top, or on the chart itself, click on that primary price label right at the top. In this case, we're looking at Carlisle. We can give that a click. What that's going to open up is the chart settings menu for the chart as a whole, not for specific indicators, but the settings for the chart as a whole. So this is where you can set things like your y-axis scale, if you want log scale, what kind of chart header you want, how many extra bars you want, how much extra space you want on the right side of that chart. Your different candlestick settings, actually another new feature that we've launched recently. You've now got tons and tons of different customizations for your candlesticks as well. Lots and lots of features in here. You can do events, these little labels across the bottom for dividends and earnings. You can turn those on for your chart. And at the very bottom, what we've now added is a feature called alerts. So you have a whole box here, just a couple of options, very quick to set this up. To turn on the price alerts feature, all you got to do is give it a click. There you go. It's turned on now. That means that if we have set a price alert, if I've set a price alert for any symbol in my account and I pull up that symbol here in ACP, we're automatically going to show those price alerts with a horizontal line going across the chart. You get to pick what you want that line to look like. So in my case, I actually like to use a pink line. I've been using that, and it works nicely on my chart. So I've set that up with a pink line, and I like it to be a little bit thicker so it's really easy to see. You could do a dashed line, you could do a thick line, you could just leave that on auto and it'll be kind of a thin, solid line there, but we're going to leave that on thick. Now, I've turned that on. I can actually save this to the chart style that I'm using as well, and it'll be turned on always. So that's what I mean. You can kind of set this up, save it, and you never have to worry about it again. But once you turn that on, if you pull up any symbol that you have set a price alert for, you're going to see those alerts right on your chart. So for instance, we can flip through a couple of different symbols. Here we're looking at Apple, and you can see that I've actually set 3 price alerts for Apple at some key price levels that I've identified on this chart. Because I have set those up, I've saved those price alerts to my account, and I'm looking at a chart here in ACP that's got that alerts feature turned on. Those pink price alert lines are automatically printed on my chart. I can now quickly and easily see exactly where I've set those price alerts. So if I was following a stock, let's say I'm keeping an eye on Apple and I want to take a position, take a new entry into that. If it crosses above this top pink line, I can quickly and easily see that without having to kind of turn anything on or remember where I've set those price alerts or go look it up somewhere else. If I've got this price alerts feature turned on my charts, those lines are going to appear for me. And as a stock gets up towards one of those lines, I'll kind of be aware of that and could easily take action. Now, as you flip around, again, we can flip around to a couple of different symbols. We can see that those price alert lines are just going to automatically appear for anything that we have set those alerts for. We can do Amazon, for instance, another one that I've set a couple of alerts for, as most of us probably have. So we've got Amazon here now. We can see actually one that is getting up towards that kind of pink alert level. If it crossed above that, got up above that 200-day moving average, that might be a nice entry point into Amazon, something I might consider. So I've got that price alert drawn for me automatically across this chart. Makes it really, really quick and easy to track those levels. So as you go through your charting, as you kind of flip through different charts, ACP will automatically print those price alert lines across your chart for you. And again, you can customize this with kind of any look and feel you want. If you wanted it to be a dark red line, and maybe you wanted it to be thick and dashed, you can change that style to be kind of anything that you want. We'll continue to evaluate different styles for those lines as well, and add new features to those, allow you to maybe move it up and down, things like that. But for now, you can see those price alerts right on your charts in kind of any look that you want. Again, once you've turned on this feature and you've got it set exactly the way that you want, you can save that to the chart style. So if you come back over here to our chart styles menu, which allows you to save basically those chart templates, you could save that chart style or update an existing chart style. Just hit that big green button at the bottom, and that's going to actually update your chart style with those price alert lines turned on. So you don't have to kind of turn them on every time you come to ACP. Very, very nice, very handy. Now, the other thing that I do want to mention here about alerts is that, as a little refresher, we have the ability actually down at the bottom with that little panel that you can can open up there, the little bell icon. We have the ability to actually create alerts on the fly here in ACP. So if we went back to let's say NVIDIA, actually one that's approaching some interesting levels, we can open up this chart of NVIDIA and actually just hover over the chart and click exactly where we want to set a new price alert. You can see when I click on that chart, it enters in that price for me. I can then choose my notification type if I want that on the website, if I want that via email, via text message. I personally like to have mine just on the website. And of course, we can also pick our trigger. That's probably the first thing that we would do, whether we want that to notify us when price crosses above that level or below that level. So we can save that alert. And now we've actually created a new alert. We've saved that directly to our account. And the next time that we pull up an NVIDIA chart, it's going to be printed with that pink line or whatever we set it as, that pink line printed right across the chart. So a very handy little feature here in ACP, the ability to actually set those alerts kind of on the fly. As you're going through your charting, if you stumble across anything in ACP and you say, hey, I want to set an alert for that, there you go. We've actually got our dashed line there. It refreshed the chart for us automatically. So we can now see exactly where we've set that price alert for NVIDIA. Very easy to set up these price alerts in ACP. Just click to set them exactly where you want. You don't have to worry about typing in any numbers or anything like that. Very, very cool. So that is our little tour of 2 new features here in ACP. I know a bit of a whirlwind tour. We really kind of flew through that, but performance view, price performance history over all of those different time periods for anything in an ACP chart list, now down in that drawer. And with that relative strength, that compare to box allows you to kind of reformat that table against any benchmark that you want. The S&P 500, the total index, the total world index, the Dow, the NASDAQ 100, if you can think of it, if you want to use it as a benchmark, you can use it down in that performance view. Very, very cool to have that now in ACP. As I showed you, I'm using this with a couple of different ways, different index groups like the S&P 500, but also with my portfolios and my watch lists. There are tons and tons of different ways to use that performance view. And that's now available in ACP in addition to your SharpCharts chart lists as well. So very cool stuff. Glad to have that in ACP now. We also took a look at that new automated price alerts feature for your ACP charts. Puts those lines across the screen exactly where you've set any price alerts for any symbol. Prints those automatically for you. Very, very cool. Again, I like to use my my price alerts also for stops to kind of mark where I've put my stop. So this allows me to actually see those stop levels automatically. I can set those price alerts right at those stop levels and just kind of see those on the chart automatically without having to draw any horizontal lines or look anything up or remember where I've set those different levels. So very, very cool stuff here. And again, you can set that up on your charts, save it to a chart style, and it is always going to be there for you. Very cool to have that new feature in ACP. So I want to thank you for joining me on today's show. It's been a blast to be with you, to walk through a couple of these new features, explore some of the new stuff here in ACP. Remember, StockCharts.com/new. You can go there to check out our release notes page, learn more about all the different features that have rolled out. It's been really great to have some of those new features on the site. And we've got another product launch coming up this fall. So we're already moving towards even more stuff rolling up around StockCharts. StockCharts.com/new though, check that out. It's got a full featured page there to give you kind of the highlights of everything that we've done, big and small. At the top of that page, we've got lots of info about some of the major features that have rolled out, but also at the bottom of that page, if you scroll down, some of the smaller features, enhancements, improvements, that kind of thing, new options, even things like the Your Account page redesign. We just made that page even easier to use. So as you're kind of managing your StockCharts account, your plugins, your chart packs, all that good stuff, it's easier to do that on our new Your Account page. We list all of that kind of stuff on that release notes page. So definitely take a look at that. Again, StockCharts.com/new. Look for that card at the top of the screen. That'll get you right to where you need to be. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been great to be with you on today's show. Remember, we do this every Friday, walking through new tools, exploring new features, exploring old features as well, and ultimately just trying to help you get more value out of StockCharts. That's our mission here. 3 p.m. Every Friday, also up on our YouTube channel after that, and the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. So I'll see you next week for another edition of StockCharts in Focus. But until then, have a great week, have a great weekend, and chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.